Final Word Daily, brought to you, as ever, by Ambassador Cruise Lines, giving you the chance to cruise with cricket legends this December. You might notice a bit different backdrop today. That's because we're recording in the hotel. I've got a real horrible confession. Neither me nor Daniel were actually at the game today, but we watched it intently on the television. And to tell you all about it in 30 seconds is Daniel Norcross.
It was yet again an unsurprisingly not thrilling match, as one side didn't score quite as many runs as they really should have done and got absolutely thrashed by the other side. When is this going to stop, please? But what it has done is provide us with the reality that the West Indies are a threat. Deandra Dottin smashing the ball to all parts, Stefani Taylor limping off and almost certainly coming back to make a match-winning innings in the final. Who knows? This is the time bomb that he spoke about. It's there, it's real, and it's coming for you, baby.
So, because we've got another match where it's kind of ended up quite one-sided, we're going to split this episode, I was going to say in two halves, actually in a third and two-thirds. We're going to do about 6-7 minutes on the match, and then we're going to talk about the themes of the World Cup so far. The reason why I'm going to do the themes is because, did you know this?
Oh, no.
We're exactly in days, not matches,
days.
We're exactly halfway through the competition.
Oh, well, who would have thought that?
Exactly.
That's a shame. I'm not
I think that's
enough
true.
At Dubai yet, you know. I feel like, mind you, a lot of it has been spent working on matches.
Yeah,
and there are fewer of them left.
I think I've actually divvied that up in terms of like match days as opposed to actual like mathematical accuracy. But that's not, nevertheless, that's how we're going to do it. So, paint a picture for me.
Yeah.
West Indies, the time bomb. They've had another massive win. England, we presume, are going to beat Scotland, but they're at Sharjah. Where big wins are potentially harder to come by.
Yes.
What does this mean? If we're looking forward to a week, what does this mean for the context of the group?
Well, what the West Indies did today, again, was absolutely smash their net run rate. They did it in their last game. They've done it again today. They've recovered from that loss against South Africa, and they'll give themselves, in all probability, a virtual semi-final. Because what they did by beating Bangladesh so massively was it meant that even if England do send Scotland home, to think again, which they almost certainly will, incidentally, it will result in not enough of an increase in their net run rate to get them ahead of the West Indies. It might, though, get them ahead of South Africa. So, from an England point of view, and I know we're not thinking in those terms necessarily.
I am. I'm going to be honest.
Well, okay,
I am.
if you are.
Yeah.
Well, what we know about today is that you can forget all the kind. It's basically woke now to think about Bangladesh and Scotland. It's woke. Yeah.
Why?
Well, they can't get through. Because literally they can get through, because Bangladesh can get through by winning their last game, but they can't get through. So let's just accept it.
Why does that make it woke, though?
Well, because that way you're being disrespectful to the Bangladesh, and that's anti-woke. So, yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I'm you know what? I'm going to say I'm following
the
it.
Ford
I'm not
Fiesta
following
is
it. It's
woke
fine.
as well. I read that the other day.
Okay.
So, essentially, what we're looking at here is a situation in which there are only 3 teams that can qualify.
Yeah.
Only 2 teams can go through. So what's it going to come down to? Well, it will come down to if England beat the West Indies, almost certainly England and South Africa go through. Unless, taking the woke position, Bangladesh beat South Africa.
But you know what's annoyed me about Bangladesh today? Is they actually had a chance. They
started so well,
they
didn't
got a head start in this group.
They looked brilliant in those first 10 overs.
They were on the board. They beat Scotland. Yes, they lost to England. England, obviously, World Cup hopefuls, favourites, potentially, blah, 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 blah. Today, they were 73 for 2 after 13 overs. And
Tell me about it.
And as we know at Sharjah, 125, you're away.
Well, you're in there, aren't you?
And then, so Jyoti had a great innings. She got 39. Oh, I'm really upset that I've gone back and checked the scorecard. I've gone great innings. She was flying at the beginning, 39 of 44. But in the same way, Danny White-Hodge had the runnable 40s. It really helps the team. You thought there was a chance at one stage that Bangladesh was set to potentially mix the group up and, more to the point, for themselves, get ahead of the game, beat the West Indies, and then put themselves in with a chance of putting off another shock against South Africa.
Yeah.
And as it's happened, well, we're being woke now. We're talking.
Well, that's because you were woke, you see.
I am woke. Through thick and thin.
You were just being woke.
Yeah.
The reality is that that's not what's happened at all. And although I thought what might happen is that Bangladesh might score 125, 130 from that position, which was brilliantly constructed. I mean, you have to say that first 10 overs, they batted beautifully to get themselves into a position where they could attack. And then the moment they started to attack, it all unravelled from that 70-odd for 2 down to a very disappointing
103 for 8.
Not nice, was it, really?
It's not
It was
enough.
sort of 30 runs from 73 for 2, 30 runs in 8, 9 overs. It was just horrible to watch. What the West Indies did was, though, they pounced. They sensed an opportunity.
They're a time bomb.
They're a time bomb. And my word, by pouncing in the way that they have done, they've turned this into a 3-team group.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what are the scenarios now?
Yeah.
England will play against Scotland.
Yeah.
If they beat Scotland by a massive amount, a similar sort of amount to that which South Africa won by, then the South Africa-Bangladesh game becomes very important because South Africa will still need to beat Bangladesh well.
Yeah.
If the West Indies beat England, because then we'll be in the 3-way tie. If England beat the West Indies, but no one's going to know this because it's the last game of the qualifying, the very last game. My word, this is a tantric tournament. It keeps us wanting more, and the climax will not come. Not even then, my friends. It'll come at the very end of the tournament. But the qualified part of the tournament is going to keep us excited, even if every game has so far been unbelievably one-sided. The result of who goes through is going to keep going until the very end, which is, good for them. Well done for the tournament.
It's also important because otherwise this would all be for nothing.
Yeah, and we mentioned it the other day, didn't we? We said, the West Indies, England have found themselves in a situation that South Africa were in this year's Men's T20 World Cup, where they win every game, and actually they're in a de facto quarterfinal coming to their last game, despite having done nothing wrong. Whereas the West Indies, who lost their first game, actually, if they win the last game, they're certainly through. If they beat England, they are now almost certainly through, which is incredible, especially when you consider the odds on the West Indies yesterday were 66-1. And when you factor into that they are not just a time bomb, but they have got in the now firing Dottin, the now in-form Hayley Matthews, with an array of spinners who seem perfectly suited for these conditions, and with Stefani Taylor, notwithstanding her slight knee problem that meant that she had to leave after 10 overs, but will no doubt come back fit and firing for the next game. They are now a serious proposition.
So, to summarise, what's happened tonight is in effect set up a quarter-final between West Indies and England next Wednesday.
Probably, depending on how South Africa get on against Bangladesh.
So to summarise, I hate caveats. It gets in the way. Keep things simple. Ramarak, 4 for 17, bowled very well. West Indies chased it down in 12.5 overs. Stephanie Taylor, as mentioned, she retired her. She brought up her 1,000th T20I run and then trotted off.
Yeah, I like that. That's quite good. It's a bit of a mic drop, isn't it?
Exactly. It's basically, if you're like, if I can't salute my bat having got 27, I'll go for the holistic view. Got 1,000. Big win, 8-wicket win with 7.1 overs to spare. I've enjoyed the West Indies' varying use of Kiana Joseph. So she opened the batting against South Africa. New ball, swinging about a bit. Basically, Kiana Joseph goes, I'm going to try and hit everything for 7. And then they're like, well, the ball's swinging. She hasn't been able to hit it. Drops it her down to 3 against Scotland. She did very well. We got 30 off about 20. Today, again, shuffled down the order. She didn't even come into bat today. She didn't bat in the top 4. I'm intrigued. I'm a naturally nervous person. I think they've got the right idea where it's like, look, to break the fourth wall here, a lot of my professional prospects of the next week rely on England going through. So Kiana Joseph.
So you've got skin in the game. Yeah?
I've got skin in the game. I've said this from the beginning. This is the first competition. I'm not pragmatic. I'm not neutral at all. Supporting England all the way. Kiana Joseph.
I'm Pontius Norcross.
Of course, not naturally. Kiana Joseph could be the kind of, especially at Sharjah, where kind of a brisk 20 off 10 could be so important. Bookmark it, note it. Next week, see how she goes against England. Anyway, that is the end of that segment. We're going to move on to just general themes about the tournament. I feel like, why should I pigeonhole you? Overviews.
What were you about to do? What were you about to...
Well, I was about to ask you a question about a specific thing. And I actually
about age, Wally Hammond or something, Victor Trump?
No. I'm going to keep you in the present day.
Okay.
What have your thoughts been?
My thoughts?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many and varied. I mean, where to begin? I suppose... I think watching the tournament has been a very confusing melange of misunderstanding, really. I began by thinking, why is everybody dropping all these catches?
Yeah.
Why are these scores really low? And when you're not actually batting on the pitches themselves...
Which we're not,
we don't totally understand what it is that makes them so particularly awkward. We've watched shitloads of women's cricket of late, and we've seen it getting better and better and better, and scores going up and up and up, and more people scoring, lots of boundaries. That then brings me to boundaries. Boundary sizes, they're absolutely enormous. Don't like the boundary sizes, and I'm going to tell you for why. And this is, I am Pontius Norcross, but
naturally,
you say England need to do well. I think, in a paradoxically bizarre way, coming to the UAE would ordinarily have played into the hands of the rest of world cricket in their attempt to remove the behemoth, the Darth Vader that is Australia from the top of the pile.
Correct.
But because you bring the scores lower, they're closer together, and so that means
it should become more volatile. There's fewer runs at play. It should be more volatile.
Volatile is a very good word. It's a very good word.
Thank you.
That's exactly what it was designed for, I believe, when it was invented. But what's actually happened is, because we've got absolutely gigantic boundaries, Australians, who are notoriously really into self-flagellation, masochism, pain, generally, running around, just waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, setting the alarm for another 5-kilometre run, going back to bed, but, not enjoying it, then getting up. Yeah, and then
they're used to being hot and bothered.
That's right, lifting their teammates up above their head and then putting them back down again, and things like that, running to the top of a mountain and back. The problem that this tournament has presented us with is that means they're in the best possible place to run twos, run quick singles, charge around the boundary, fuck everybody over. They don't need to hit the 4s and 6s that everybody else is hitting.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this, I think, yesterday. England scored 14 4s in their previous game in Sharjah. The very next game, Australia got 13 4s and a 6, and yet they got 20-odd runs more. Why do they do that? Because they're petrifyingly, extraordinarily fit. So as long as these boundary sizes are as big as they are, then weirdly, this is going to be Australia's tournament, because their super strength is not how far they hit the ball, but it's how quickly they can run between the wickets and how quickly they can run around the boundaries and how well they can stop runs in the field. They are supreme athletes.
Can I make a really potentially incredibly stupid point? If you remove the boundaries, it basically then refines back to just a test of who is better at cricket. Say you had to run everything.
Oh, absolutely!
Which is kind of what's happening. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't
everything.
want to remove the boundaries.
Oh,
no,
I'm not saying. That's what I'm then saying for. No. But no, my point is, if the boundaries are massive and it's just a case of who has the best skills in the 22 yards between wicket to wicket, and then Australia, who have historically been the best team in the world, so they're now like, well, actually, we hit the ball more than you guys. We bowl better than you guys. So if you don't get cheap runs by you nicking one, it goes for 4 rather than 2, etc. That is accentuating our ability over the rest of the world. I think, do you know what? I'm going to listen back to that tomorrow and to find out if I've actually made a good point. Because I actually think at the moment that's quite a good point.
Is your point that this is a good thing?
My point's neutral. My point's an analytical observation. That if you removed boundaries, say you didn't play with a boundary.
Like timeless test matches, but
if you played a timeless test match with no boundaries, Australia would win because they're the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's kind of my point.
Okay.
That because we've got gigantic boundaries, Australia are going to win.
Yeah, but I've just summarised it.
Yeah, and beautifully, really beautifully.
So,
what I say to the ICC is totally understandable that the boundaries are what they are and they began the way they are, and you can't bring them in during the group phase of the tournament. But in the semi-finals and the final, why not bring them in a touch? Because
would you do that?
Yeah, why not?
Because it changes the playing conditions and playing field, literally, of the
it does, but in the semi-finals and finals. So by the time you've got the semi-finals and final, it's the same for everybody. So it doesn't matter. It matters in the group phase because
it's not the same. It is the same for everyone, but it's a change.
It is a
change. We've played a World Cup with these parameters.
The ball changes, the weather changes.
Everything changes. You don't have to choose change. You don't have to bake change into what you're doing.
I chose change at the last election, and I want to see more and more of it. I want change.
Neutral Norcross. You ruined the whole shtick.
Yeah.
You voted for reform. It was terrible.
It's a form of change, I suppose. So that's one of the themes I would say that we've got here, which is that these extraordinary boundary sizes, and I think what's happened is slightly by accident they've happened because the tournament's happened on the hoof and every other part of it. You imagine if you're the ICC trying to get everything together, organised and sorted. The last thing you're really actually having the meeting about is what are boundary sizes? You're actually trying to work out getting people in a hotel and sort out their laundry and get people accreditation.
It's a beautiful hotel.
It's lovely, yeah. All that kind of stuff. Other themes, I would say. Drop catches. Why have there been so many? Now, I have a completely baseless theory about this.
Here we go.
Right. And it goes as follows. Because everybody's in the same hotel, because they kind of have to be, because it's all been done really, really quickly.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if everybody's quite as completely on it and like bitter and mean and angry with each other. Because they're always, like, we have breakfast with them, they're always there chatting, hiya, you get in the lift, oh, hello. You know, I don't want, oh, hiya and oh, hello. I want bitch.
Yeah.
Probably edit that out. I want.
It's not. That takes time. That's staying. Yeah.
I want sort of like anger and sort of, you know, you stay in a different.
Fuck you, hate you.
Yeah, different. Stay in a different hotel, turn up, play the game, snarl, go off again. And I just wonder if at the beginning of the tournament it was felt a little bit safe because all the different teams have all turned up all together in this place, and they play a lot of cricket together anyway. Because they play in, you know, leagues and whatnot, and then. Yeah, I don't know. It just hasn't had quite the same feel of adversarial nastiness.
But do you think being in the same hotel
competition
breeds collegiality, or do you think?
Yeah, probably.
I wonder if it breeds the opposite. Because I haven't spoken to a single player who's gone, I really like being in the same hotel as everyone else.
Yeah, but
they all go, this is really annoying. I keep having to stop and say hello to about 17 people.
Well, there's a little bit of that, but there isn't enough, you know, fighting over the eggs and stuff like that. I mean, everybody's really, you know, I know after you, and yeah, I think it's a bit. I think it's a bit nice. It's all a bit nice, which is lovely. I like the nice thing in one way, but I just wonder about that. I don't know. I can't make any other sense of it.
I do
because some of the worst catches I've ever seen have been dropped by some of the best cricketers that women's cricket's produced, and how. I'm flailing about. I can't think of another reason unless, you know, they're all distracted by something.
I prefer that reasoning to like the Ring of Fire reasoning.
That's bollocks, isn't it?
I hate that reasoning. Because I remember Cricinfo did a piece on it, and then at the end of it, it kind of mentioned that the Ring of Fire, it goes, in theory, it should be easier to catch her, and some players find it easier. I was like, well, if some players find it easier, though. Anyway, right, we're going to go through a break.
Oh.
And then you're going to open your phone.
Yeah.
You're going to do an ad read. So that's been part 1, and then a very short part 2 is going to follow with Daniel Norcross's ad read and Hall of Fame. Here we go. Back to you in 3, 2, 1. You pause. And we're back. Final word, brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line, giving you the chance to cruise with cricket legends in December. Give us an ad read, Daniel.
Once upon a time, cricket on ships was as boring as letting Don Bradman beat you again and again at quoits on the deck for 2 months before docking at Tilbury. But with Ambassador Cruise Line, it could not be any different. In their Cricket Legends cruise, you'll be entertained day and night by not only theatre shows and quizzes, but regaled deep into the night with stories from masters of the craft Henry Blofeld and Jonathan Agnew. After 7 days of cruising with them and stars like Graham Gooch and Alex Tudor, you'll get a strong flavour of what those fabled cricket tours were like. But in such comfort that you'll feel as royal as Keith Miller did in 1948. If you know, you know. And just on Gucci, given what's happened in Multan today, what better time to get him to take you through every bit of making a Test triple ton? All this at the ridiculously generous starting price of £559 per person. And that before you get 10% off because you listen to us. It's incredibly easy. Just visit ambassadorcruiseline.com and pop in
Final word 10.
Final word 10.
Yeah, that was my cue.
Every fucking time. Final word 10 at checkout, and you'll be sailing away beating the winter blues. It's in the show notes. Check it out. Ambassador Cruise Line, giving you the chance to cruise with cricket legends this December, and giving you the chance to talk triple tons with Gucci. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you ever commentated on a triple ton?
No.
Aggers, they must have done it.
Yeah, well, they did today, didn't they?
Aggers must have done it. Who?
Well, not all of them.
All the blowers done. Blowers have done Gucci. We've spoken about him so much today.
Blowers did Gucci. 1990. Yeah, it might have been Blowers. Could have been Blowers. Could have been Johners. Could have been CMJ.
If you could choose one player to commentate on a triple ton to
Ollie Pope.
Ollie Pope?
Ollie Pope, because I've got a bet with Henry Moran that he's going to get a better average than Gary Balance. And him getting 0 off 2 balls when England scored 823 for 7 was not entirely ideal.
It's a wonderful scorecard. Right, Hall of Fame.
Yay!
I'm going to give you the chance to either pick one from today or one from the tournament. Go.
Well, I'm going to do one from today because
Yeah.
you were glued to that match today. It was absolutely thrilling in every way. And the moment when there was a review for a bold is always going to get the juices going, isn't it? It was marvellous.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was a cut of the ball. It was the second ball. A wicket had gone first ball. Next ball, identical shot into the gloves of the keeper. It goes. Keeper takes. Shemaine Campbell so excited. It's caught and bowled. Surely it's caught and bowled because there's been a noise and a little nick.
Caught behind.
It's caught behind. Yeah, it's caught and bowled. But it was caught and it was bowled. It was caught and it was bowled because it was caught off the stumps, but it was bowled. And no one knew which way out it was. So they had to double check because obviously the batter was going, oh, I didn't fucking touch it. And the keeper went, well, I heard an enormous nick. And I went, oh, that's why. So that was kind of lovely. I like that. That's Hall of Fame worthy, isn't it?
I enjoyed
Review for a bowl doesn't happen every day.
I enjoyed Hayley Matthews giving a little fake mankad and then a run out happening next ball.
That's karma. Yeah.
And then and DeAndre Dotson taking an unbelievable catch at backward point, and it was a rule to the just bounce before she scooped it off the turf one handed. And I was like, morally out. It's out. It's just out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
By the way,
what? You got more?
Yeah, there's a reason. I'm just saying there's a reason why we're not doing the Tournament Hall of Fame because there is one Tournament Hall of Famer that's already happened that will not be beaten unless it is between now and then. And we all know which one it is. But let's not mention his name.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. It's fine. Right. It's been the Final Word Daily. It's day 8, I think. Tomorrow's day 9. We'll be back then. It's been brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line. I've been Cameron. He's been Daniel. We'll see you and speak to you again tomorrow. Goodbye.
I really have, and we really will.